David was pretty instrumental tonight, wasn't he? What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, I think the whole back row, to be honest, like the way they complemented each other. I think that David doing one job, Michael doing another, and Caleb also in what he did kept pressure on the opposition, especially defensively. And that's their first time playing together in that sort of formation. So I think that the best back rows work well together. You know, I mean, no one guy can do it individually, and Poey his work rate was off the chart. You know what I mean? That's what he's renowned for.
Michael, given that Ireland are at the end of their season, do you think it's realistic for them to increase their work rate over the remaining two tests? And if not, will they need to bring something other to the table?
I don't say that's their only thing. I think they've got a huge amount of skill and talent, obviously, right? Great players as well. But their work rate's the key. It's the engine, I think, behind there. And sure, they worked hard too tonight. And I think the Irish system's pretty good. Like, their players are well managed, and I think they come out here really well drilled. That was a tight match, a very tight match, and we obviously know how good they are, and we know that it's going to get harder, right? They're getting over a rival, jet lag. You know, they mixed a few of their players. They didn't start Johnny, didn't start Type Furlong, Keane, Healy. You know, they're going to change their look again next week, and we need to change our look as well, because we will have all seen each other. And that's the best part about the three-match series concept, where it's like, you know, we're jousting one week and then it's on another week. We've got to change tactics, but we've got to keep the same dynamics in there. So I certainly don't think they'll need anything else around that. I think they're very well capable of lifting at a level next week for sure.
Michael, the fact that they made those changes and didn't start Johnny on their first choice of props, that surprised some of us. Did it in some ways kind of irritate you, or were you able to use it in your motivational build for the game?
No, not at all. I don't see that. These days, the front rowers are, Keane and Tide Furlong came on with 35 minutes to go, and I think just after half time, not that long after. So they played a significant part of the game. Johnny a little bit later, but mate, Carberry, he's a star. Like, I've been watching him. I went up to him after the game, you know, and because I've never met him before. Said, I love your work, because that guy, he can play footy. He's an outstanding player, and I reckon Johnny would have been happy letting him have the start, you know. And of course, when he came on, Johnny was as threatening as ever. You know, he's always sniffing around and giving us trouble. He's got kicking game, you know, all that type of stuff. So we just had to defend hard. So no, it certainly didn't. I can understand what the coach is doing there for sure. I think Ireland are very consistent with what they do, and they're very good at it. And that's not to say that they won't change some things next week as well. We certainly no expectation. But everyone talks about us coming off the back of, you know, 1 week's preparation. Well, really, they've only had that as well. Like, by the time Leinster finish playing, they have a week off, and maybe then they got a week's preparation to come and play. So they're in the same boat exactly, you know what I mean, as us around preparation. They'll get better for sure. Which Michael Hooper or me? Oh, right, okay, yeah, sorry. Mate, it is what it is. That's the way. What I really liked was the way we reacted to that, you know, because that was pretty. Everyone thought it was a try. Everyone's back in the backfield there and getting ready. I thought Michael Hooper managed that situation really well, and we understand, like we keep saying, that we've got to build a no excuses mentality. So when that happens, you just got to get on with it and get back in and win the next moment, because that's the only thing that counts.
I was just saying, distracted a bit for the fans, I guess, particularly. It was a great moment for 45,000 people here.
No, mate, that's the way footy is, you know. I mean, it's always been like that and always will be like that. I think that's, you know, that's the way it is. And the thing for us is to be able to get over that and just move on to the next thing. We've got to get more consistent at that, and better at it too.
First decision to go for try number 3 towards the end, pretty ballsy one. What was that?
Well, that was almost the name of the call. The boss came up with it. No, it was, you know, I think you guys were calling for that up top and speaking to them after the game. Look, we backed ourselves to do a job there, and you know, thought it would change the picture. You know, and if we throw something at them this game early on, it might, you know, change how they react in later games. So we worked on it. Didn't, you know, it paid off a couple of phases later than we probably would have liked, but you know, got a job there at the end.
Did we score?
Yeah, we scored about 10 phases later. Not straight away.
The impact of the bench as well, pretty significant. The front row proposing something to scrum.
Yeah, some of the guys there taking a real lead in wanting to make that a really strong bench, not just come on and join the game, but add to the game. And I think they did that tonight. I thought Pete Samu in his debut was, straight away made a difference when he came on, and had a tough sort of run with the blood bin, and then come back on a bit later in the game. Took to it really well.
Check you guys trying to exit a lot by King Crossfield to Joe. How did you sort of feel that tactic defender?
Yeah, sort of. I'd be 3/4 of the way there. There's different ways you can use Israel and Dane also. And this was something that we decided to do in this game. And we'll have to decide during the week if we keep going with that strategy or if we try something different. They're very versatile, those lads. So we'll see how pan. I thought Israel was excellent in the air. So was Dane Haylett-Petty, both receiving kicks and taking and getting clattered. You know what I mean? From fair contests, totally fair contests. Just getting clattered because the Irish lads were going up to compete really well as well because they're excellent aerially as well. You know what I mean? Rob Carney, one of the best exponents of the high ball catch in the game. So there was some real contest going on up there. I thought it was really interesting to see how it pans out. It's not probably my normal way of playing footy. I probably like to play a bit more passes and running, but we tried something a little different today, and we'll see where we go next week.
What did you think of Brandon and Caleb in there?
Yeah, very pleased. The work rate from those lads, considering how quickly they've been elevated into the Wallaby ranks, and also the intensity of that game was very physical early on. I thought Brandon in the scrum, excellent. Caleb's work rate and around the paddock there, and just settling in and getting to know him, they'll be a lot better for it next week.
There's a big scrum penalty there up down Oregon. How big was that?
Yeah, very important. Because one of the main reasons, I know it got us in front, but one of the huge things was before that, we've been very focusing on trying to reduce penalties, right? So before that, we'd taken 3 in a row, and we'd gone back to back to back, and it put us in a really difficult position. And then we gave one away down there. It was a knock-on, perhaps not a penalty. It was an error. We had the ball, we knocked it on, and near the line, and then we didn't piggyback the opposition with another easy out. We got in, and we worked hard at that scrum. And tried to turn that negative into a positive for us. And I think the lads in the scrum worked very hard there, and I think it's going to be a massive contest over the next 2 games. The scrum is going to be a huge battle.
Mark, how much do you think Taniela has matured just over the last 12 months?
Yeah, I think a lot. He's earned his spot there without a doubt in the team. I think Brad Thorne's done an excellent job with the young forwards in Queensland around their preparation. You saw how himself and Brandon, Caleb, Isaac Rodder are preparing for games and getting themselves ready to play at the best they possibly can. And that maturity is inside the players, and he's helping bringing that out, and we'll look to try to build on that work there as well.
Michael, what did you make of those 3 lineouts that went west?
Oh yeah, I'd say a bit of rust from ourselves. We've got a lot of change in there. New forwards coach as well too. You know what I mean? We've got to remember that too. So just trying to get everything connected, and we knew that could happen tonight. We were ready for that, the odd error here or there, and we knew we'd have to turn those negatives again into positives, basically through defence, get the ball back, because you can't. Once it's done, it's done. You know what I mean? Let's just move on to the next thing, and we'll do our best to work on that so we're more accurate next weekend.
What did you think of the back row blend out there? You haven't played with David for 8 months now, and you haven't played with Caleb before. How did you feel?
Yeah, well, we talked a lot this week about how we wanted that to look. I've worked with, well, not worked, but I've played with Dave a lot now, and it was no surprise to me of some of the stuff he was doing out there tonight, and playing against Caleb only this time last week, it was nice to have him on our side for a change. So, we can only get better, and the communication can only grow from there, and that's along with the other guys who didn't play tonight. How we want our back row to look, how we can impact the game and influence it.
Is it pleasing to see some of the things that have come together? There's been a lot of collaboration this year. Do you feel like things are better placed for June this year and exiting tonight?
Without a doubt, from a physical point of view, and we've said this beforehand, the players came in very well prepared. I think much better prepared than we have in the last couple of seasons because we've worked together, and that's a credit to the Super Rugby teams without a doubt. You know, our Super Rugby teams get a lot of flack from all angles, but they are doing a lot of stuff for us in the background, and I want, you know, where there's credit due there, because that was an intense game. It was a high level, high intensity around the contact zone as well, and that would have been quite energy sapping. So I think we've been able to train at a high level this week from an intensity point of view because those guys have come in prepared like that.
No injury concerns, just normal types of bruises?
No, that's it. Everyone's good. You okay?
Curtly, right at the end there.
No, just a stinger. Stinger, yeah.
What do you expect personnel-wise?
Look, mate, I don't know, you know, to be honest. I think they've got such a good squad, a lot of depth. They've got a lot, you know, if you have a look at the guys who are sitting on their bench tonight, and even not in the squad, there's a number of changes that they could make. And I imagine that a lot of guys could play in this series, you know what I mean, because they've got such quality across the park. And that's been genuine. Like I said, they're not number 2 in the world for nothing, right? They've had won a stack of games in a row, Six Nations champions with a Grand Slam off the back of it, and they've got a lot. You can't do that without having a lot of depth. So I don't know if they'll change guys or not, but I know that whichever player plays, it's going to be a tight. Every game's going to be a tight go right to the end.
Anyone? Any others?
Right, thank you.